Good morning, everybody. I wanted to make I don't know why I always say this, I'm making a video to talk about something. The kind of why I chose a 2500 pickup as I put fuel in a tractor. So I guess kind of like why it went the way that I did was I wanted a new truck. I wanted to not spend $70,000 on a new truck. I wanted it to be reliable, knock on wood, and I wanted it to be capable, you know. The biggest thing I heard about Power Strokes is that they're great on fuel, but the exhaust brake isn't worth its weight in gold, you know. It is junk, and I never driven one personally, and every video, YouTuber, anything I saw that had a Power Stroke or a F250, 350 using it for Hotshot just had nothing but good things to say about them. But me personally, the last 5 years of my previous occupation, I was driving Ram 5500 tow trucks with the 6.7 Cummins. Those had the ASIN transmission, so those were a little more heavy duty, but like they were the high output Cummins. But I was familiar with the platform, and I knew the exhaust brake of the Cummins could stop itself loaded going down an 8% grade. They're just freaking stout, you know, power plant. Extremely reliable, cheap to maintain. They go for millions of miles, you know. So that was kind of a no-brainer for me, and once I knew the power plant, I wanted to spec the truck out right. If I got lucky, I'd find one that already had airbags or the factory leveling air, you know, from Dodge. But even though that has its own pros and cons, that's not supposed to be it's not the greatest thing, and when they're overloaded, it just makes the computer inside the truck freak out, so that you get errors on the dash and stuff like that. But went with the Cummins for the reliability, and then I needed to spec the truck out right. 10,000 pounds gross vehicle weight rating, so 2,500, because I wanted to, because you know, 25 to 3,500, there's probably a lot of little differences, but the main one that stood out to me was the 3,500 has leaf spring in the rear, and the 25 has coil spring, you know, traditional. But if you get the air ride on the 2500, you know, it kind of balances out, because you take air over leaf spring any day. So I found this truck at a GMC dealership in Goodyear, Arizona. It had 125 on it it actually had 120 on it when I got it. I got it out the door for a good price. You know, used truck sales are ridiculous. It was less than 50,000, you know, so that made sense for me and my business structure. So I'm financing this truck. It had 120,000 on it when I got it. It's a 2020 Longhorn 6-foot bed, short bed, not the fucking long bed. I hate how that looks, honestly. People love and hate it. Seeing no 2500 dualies anymore, maybe back in the day. But when I went to look at the truck, I just knew about the mileage, the interior, the color, and it was stock. You know, there's nothing done to it besides Firestone airbag, rear suspension. That I got lucky. I didn't know. Obviously, they don't take pictures of really the undercarriage too well for putting trucks up for sale. So I didn't know it had airbags until I already went back to put the deposit on it after paperwork was signed. So that was a super nice Easter egg. And then I knew it had airbags. I just didn't know how they worked. So I knew like the hard part was already done. A few weeks, or probably a couple months after I got it, I was looking under the rear tire area, under the tailgate, and I saw a manual air fill. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. And then I saw that it said right way, and I looked it up online. I posted in a Dodge forum, or a 2500 forum, and I said the manual fill has this badging on it, and then I took other pictures. I found a compressor on like a cross member in between the frame rails. I took pictures of everything, put them online. A lot of people said that looks like the Firestone right way kit. Download a couple apps and see if you have anything register with the truck. And at first I didn't, but then for some nice reason it's connected to the Bluetooth of the truck. So at first when I connected it, or at first when I was trying it and the truck was running, nothing was working, and I was like, well, shit, whatever, I gotta have somebody look at it. It's okay, the bags are already there, blah blah blah. There were a couple days go by, or I think it was the same day, I went back outside and my Bluetooth was turned on for some reason, and I walked up to behind the truck and I was opening up the app, and all of a sudden I heard the compressor kick on, and I was like, no way. And sure as shit, the Firestone Right Way app, it has adjustments and it connected to the truck. It recognized, you know, the computer of the compressor and that whole deal. It connects to it even when the truck's not turned on. I can make it go up and down, you know, when the truck's not running, which is good and bad. There must be some draw on the battery from that, but you know, I'm not gonna complain. It's got the airbags. It's been a great truck. I haven't done anything to it besides, before I did do my first run, I took it to a Dodge dealership and I had them do transmission service, fluids and filters, coolant service, and a brake flush, because there was like one experience where I had the trailer empty and I was going over some rough road and I had to like come to a stop, and there was so much, you know, sponginess in the pedal, and it was not firm at all, and it was not confident, and I did not feel good about it. So I had them do the brakes, brake fluid service, and since then it's been perfect. I feel so much better about it. And then on my very first run, of course, with good luck, I had a valve stem fail on my front left tire, but luckily I was only going 30 miles an hour, so I just limped it good ways to pull off the road, and I called a tire service, and that was the most expensive valve stem you'll ever hear about, but I got back on the road in an hour and finished out my day and still made good money that trip. But when the wheel was off, when they were servicing that, I saw that the front brakes were in great shape, so I'm not going to worry about it for a while. I probably should service the transfer case and differentials. That's a good one. The dealership wanted like $1,200 to do all three of those, and I said I'll figure it out in my driveway, thank you. But I haven't done anything to it except accessories for Hotshot. You know, I did a CB, did the satellite, did the fuel cell in the rear. Not really Hotshot, but the edge monitor, so I can see how the truck is feeling, you know, when it's running. I just wanted the Longhorn to be comfortable. The Laramies looked good, but this kind of fit the bill with the mileage and the year and the trim I wanted. I wanted the long screen so I could have navigation, you know, and everything. Just wanted to be comfortable so I could keep this truck and eventually buy a truck that's suit for CDL work, so this truck can just sit on my property one day. Just be a nice truck to run to town. A little exterior tour of the truck, I guess. Kind of see how I have everything hooked up. What powers the fuel tank in my bed is pretty lazy, but also pretty ingenuitive, and I do compliment myself on it. I wired it to a trailer plug. Somebody actually before me kind of did it, but we never got it to work in the 3 years we used this tank at the scrapyard. So we always just had it direct wired to a battery that we would disconnect and reconnect. But right now it's wired to the running light section of a trailer plug. So when I have it hooked up to a four-way, I just turn on the trailer, or turn on the running lights of the truck, and it'll kick that pump on. And this is a very old, just 12 volt 8 gallon per minute, 30 liter per minute GPI pump that the pump's probably fine. I need to do something with the handle because it just constantly leaks diesel a little bit. And I've been told if you were to have the wrong attention drawn to you and they discovered that you smell like diesel on your bed, that could be a very big problem. Nobody wants big problems, you know. I don't know if I'm gonna we'll see if any local runs come up. I might just hang around the valley. If anything comes up less than 100 miles, I'll probably run it. One neat feature that I learned when I very first got the truck too at the dealership, I didn't believe the window sticker, but it said dual alternator package. And I was like, that might just be something they put on all of the Cummins. But nope, this one in fact does have an alternator on both sides of the engine. It's supposed to be for high-powered accessories like plows, anything, you know, electrical that you could plug in. And it's kind of neat. If one fails, supposedly, knock on wood, I never see it, but if one fails, it'll indicate on the dash which one failed, and it'll just keep pulling from the other alternator and it'll run fine. But ideally you want to, you know, replace them both, because it's just, I guess it'd be, you know, just more draw on the belt because it's just spinning a dead alternator, you know. That's pretty much it with the truck. Show you my trailer, I guess. My whole setup that I started with. 2023 Big Tex 14GN. 14GN essentially means it's got 7,000 pound axles, meaning there's a capacity that Big Tex will put on their website that maybe I can put that whole page right here too, that says what the recommended payload for this trailer is. But essentially you have 7,000 pound axles. The trailer can hold 14,000 pounds, is what the axles are rated for. I think I remember seeing like 10,200 is what they say the deck is good for. And obviously DOT will follow that a little bit, I think. Well, they really just what the basics, the axle ratings, tire ratings, and what the trailer says, you know, gross vehicle weight rating, which is what you always want to follow. Kind of just fighting the sunlight here, god damn. 14GN, Mega Rams, 25 plus 5.